So as usually, we're going into this stuff with little knowledge, which, you know, I feel adds often to the experience. And this place is a tribute to a memorial of 4,000 Navy men in the Japanese Navy, including their Admiral Ota. Yeah, so 4,000 of them committed suicide in these trenches after the battle, after they knew all was lost, I suppose. Because propaganda made them believe that the Americans were monsters and that they had no choice basically but to commit suicide or face horrible, probably a lot of things from the Americans. We're going down into the underground now. We just got done looking at basically a quick little museum on the history of the battle and the Typhoon of Steel, the conscription of the Okinawan citizens to serve in the 32nd Army for the Japanese when they suffered a shit ton of casualties all at once, and they panicked basically, and in desperation almost used the Okinawan citizens to help them reconstruct all of their everything basically that got destroyed. And despite the Okinawan citizens being in like incredible danger and helping with these efforts, they were still suspected of being spies for the enemy the entire time, because I guess the Japanese didn't really regard Okinawans as true Japanese at that point. This room is the operations room, which was like super important, so they reinforced it with concrete, and apparently hasn't changed almost at all since the war, despite a lot of the stuff that needed to be reconstructed. Not quite as nice as the officers' room. I think what we're looking at right now is the medical room. This room is kind of like the operations room, with the defining feature being the wall being riddled with shrapnel, which was the result of that was one of the methods in which they committed suicide. Even in war memorials, the Japanese have cute signs, but I've been even worse short, as many of you have told us, and yet like it's getting close to my head. But then like you'll see little offshoot caves that are way smaller. Like this is luxury. Oh, yeah. I think for tunnels at the time, because we saw a couple little ones that are like crawling space. So it's a quick little tour, but it's really powerful. It's got really interesting stuff. It's funny that like I can think of myself complaining of the stairs that I have to climb to get up to this place, where they can like just the sheer like squalor and horror that was experienced in these tunnels. Yeah. Especially if you're claustrophobic. Yeah. And then it opens up at the end, back on this beautiful view of Okinawa. Freedom. It's like, how could such things happen? A big thing that's repeated in there a lot is how the island was utterly turned into a hellscape. 90% of it was destroyed. It was all the trees were gone, everything was burned. Even in the telegram that Admiral Ota sent to the Japanese said that this place is, like, it's nothing now. There's nothing here. They will be starving by June. I'm greeted by these little happy little guys when you come out, though. But yeah, I'm glad we came here. I recommend it if you find yourself in Okinawa.
Also, we didn't mention that it was free.
This is free, yeah. This is nice. I am out of shape. Whew. And small mercies to us going after this heavy content is that you still get Japanese levity on your way through afterwards. It's called Oppa ice cream, which makes me think Oppai.
I know.
That it's boob ice cream? Thank you, Japan. I needed that. Hey guys, we're headed into the Hhimeyuri Cenotaph, which is memorializing the student corps that we told you earlier about how students, elderly, kids, were all, even women, were conscripted into the army to help fight against the American invasion. And this place commemorates the students specifically for 2 schools that no longer exist after the war. Hey guys, we just finished up in there. Sobering experience, I think a really well done one, because having known all the Okinawan sacrifices that were made on a civilian side of it, this concentrated specifically on 240, I think it was 240
Students.
female students within one of the schools that were enlisted to be nurses. Their most trying task of which was constantly having to go from cave to cave, just basically told to go through the battlefield.
Yeah.
From spot to spot, just try to survive, to bring supplies here and there.
One of their main things too was properly disposing of amputated limbs.
It was all pretty grisly, but it was interesting to focus on a group of like almost 300, because they're talking in like numbers of casualties of like 5 died on this day, 3 died on this day. And when you're normal to the scope of war, you're like, at first your mind's like, oh, they're getting along all right. But then when you remember again, we're talking about just one little school, and they're just, every one of these, they have photos of every student in there.
Yeah.
So it really focuses on the feeling of like one little group and
yeah.
each individual and like each of their stories. And now, just like 9 minutes down the road from Hhimeyuri, we're headed to our final destination for today, which is like clearly the biggest deal. Where'd it go? There. You got a big tower back there. It's called Peace Memorial Park and Museum. And from the pictures I saw online, this place is beautiful. Should be a nice way to cap off today's memorial tour. Hey guys, so we're just concluding our day. We just went in. There's no photography in both Hhimeyuri and the Peace Museum, so I didn't record anything, but I recommend if you ever get down here, check it out, because they're really well set up exhibits.
Yeah.
They have just the right amount of brevity and interest to keep it well paced. It doesn't feel like walls of text, and it has real human interest that they focused on, which is smart.
Yeah.
It keeps you interested, like a really good documentary.
Tour at this,
You could have used it, but we
didn't.
didn't. Look at these two. Have some fucking respect. 2 birds are doing it. So here we're about to go into the Peace Park part, and it's hard to. Should have maybe taken something from the observation tower, but it's just these, I suppose, just a lot of names, as memorial parks tend to have. It's gorgeous here though, and the air is the coolest it's been this week right now. It's so peaceful out here.
And there's some absolutely stunning cliffs off to the sides.
Right. But it was a nice day. I'm glad we put all the war stuff into one day.
Me too.
It's hard to shift gears.
Yeah,
I think.
It's heavy, but important.
It's pretty, yeah, it's heavy. Being of this generation, it's easy to feel a disconnect for sure. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's hard to but when you actually come to a physical place, and I think this place is like on the bluffs of one of the last major battles, decisive battles of the war. And it kind of makes it feel a little bit more tangible.
Yeah.
And we were talking about how it can make you feel so selfish after experiencing these little things, because like our modern day lives are, it puts into perspective like the inconveniences that you have day to day, and that they're not so.
I have to eat every few minutes.
Where's the convenience store?
I always have to pee.
It doesn't mean that you have to like live your lives in guilt, but at the same time, perspective is, I think it's pretty valuable. It feels like something it's hard to have perspective on a topic like this, but it feels like I'm a little bit closer after having seen some of these places.
Yeah, me too.
What was the most interesting though, I think, was, let's go down there to the center, was the sort of the tone here in Okinawa. We have yet to see like a Japanese memorial, but I have seen some Japanese perspectives on the war in the past, whether by documentary or through, I forget where, but my general, maybe even conversation, but my general feels that the Japanese have a certain tone and Okinawans have a very much more cynical tone.
Yes.
The Japanese have a somber sort of mea culpa tone, and war is bad, blah blah blah. Okinawans have a sort of like, we never fucking wanted war in the first place, and sort of like, fuck all of you for dragging us into it.
It absolutely destroyed us. It seems like a very current thing in Okinawa, whereas they say like with America, it feels like people have moved on.
There's this one little pool in the center here. But yeah, it's got that real sort of like real talk feel to a lot of the memorials. Like, hey, check it out. Yeah, thanks a lot. Sort of feel to it, which is honestly refreshing because like so many and then we're talking about the plaques have that tone.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty refreshing considering that the tone for war stuff is usually so somber. This is still somber, but let's walk over here real quick and show you this insanely beautiful view.
The air is
so nice today.
Right.
Another thing I noticed is I feel like a lot of the younger people in these exhibits were more rambunctious than I thought that their adults would allow.
Yes.
At something like this, I feel like the type of thing that we'd get like a smack in the ear, Canada or America side. But like,
a lot of them.
It makes me wonder if either I have two hypotheses. One is they hear about it and learn about it so much that it's like, yeah, I get it. Or I think that's more likely one, or they don't realize the gravity of it, and I think that's unlikely.
Yeah.
But anyways, beautiful day in Okinawa. We're coming home soon, everybody. We got a weekend left. We're gonna do some beach, I think, if the weather stays sunny. So from Peace Memorial Park, see you later, guys.